What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and I want to take just a moment out of your day to talk to you all about a young woman by the name of Shanquella Robinson. Shanquella is a 25-year-old young entrepreneur from North Carolina who recently went on what was supposed to be a fun, relaxing trip with a group of friends. The only problem is, the entire group of friends arrived back home safely. Shanquella did not. In fact, Shanquella's little group of so-called friends all hopped on a plane and hightailed it back home and left a now deceased Shanquella back in Mexico. And if you ask me, if you just want me to come outright and just be brutally honest, it looks like this group of friends is responsible for Shanquella's death. Or let me rephrase that. It looks like at least someone from Shanquella's group of friends are responsible for her death. And at the very least, the rest of the group knows something. And the reason I say that is because they all left Shanquella behind. What type of friend would do that? But not just that, they came back home and they all have conflicting stories. And it seems like the main narrative that they're trying to run with is that Shanquella died from alcohol poisoning. She had too much to drink. But the autopsy came back and it turns out that Shanquella's neck was broken, that her spine was cracked. She had a knot in her head, a busted lip. It looked like she had been beaten in the face. So obviously, this story about this, alcohol poisoning, that was not true. In fact, nowhere in the death report does it say anything at all about alcohol. But it does lay out other injuries that would make you believe that Shanquella had been brutally beaten. Now, I try to be careful and I don't want to be too quick to point fingers. But the reason why I make this video is because, from what investigators have said, there's no evidence of foul play. And her death has not been ruled a homicide. Yet, in my opinion, folks, this is clear as day. It is clear as day that this woman was brutally beaten to death. Yet, her death hasn't been ruled a homicide, and they say there's no evidence of foul play, yet it is blatantly obvious that something happened to this poor young woman. And I want her to get justice. And I know her family wants justice as well. Now, I am a tad bit late to the story. I had seen and heard about it. I heard rumblings of it, but some new evidence just came out last night that changes everything. Well, I don't want to say it changes everything, but it brings everything into perspective. And it really shows that, yeah, Shanquella was brutally beaten. But before we get to all of that, I want to show you all this news clip so you can all get a feel of what's going on here. Don't get me wrong, I can tell you with my words, but sometimes I think you need to hear the words of these people's families and how they feel about this situation. So let's go ahead and watch this clip, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
A Charlotte family is trying to figure out what happened to their 25-year-old daughter. Shanquella Robinson's parents say she took a trip to Mexico last month with a group of friends. Her friends made it back, but she didn't. They say she was found dead. They were told what happened, but they tell me tonight they're not buying it.
I just sit back and wait on God, because like I say, she's going to get justice.
A mystery in Mexico. How did a weekend with friends turn into a nightmare?
Something is not adding up right here.
Bernard and Salamandra Robinson say their daughter, 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson, traveled with friends from Charlotte to Cabo, Mexico on October the 28th.
I spoke with her Friday evening. She was having dinner. And I never spoke with her again.
The next day, their world changed.
On Saturday evening, they called and said she wasn't feeling well, and they was gonna call a doctor. But when they called, the doctor hadn't arrived yet, but they said she had alcohol poisoning.
They say they were told their daughter died from alcohol poisoning, but they don't believe that. They say they've heard different stories, and none of them add up.
We received the autopsy report on Thursday, and it said that her neck had been broke, and she had a back spinal cord was cracked. So that took it to a whole nother level.
Shanquella's body arrived back in Charlotte on Thursday.
She had a heart of gold. She didn't mistreat nobody.
I mean, I can't even be a grandfather. Can't even walk her down the aisle. She gone.
Weeks later, questions remain.
We're not gonna stop until we get to the end of it.
They get to the bottom of it.
We're gonna get to the end of this.
No, it's not gonna happen, No, I've been crying, I'm hurt. I'm hurting all the way around.
All right, so now that we have a little bit of a better understanding about what's going on in this situation, let me start by saying this. This case, or this story, it has all the makings of what would usually be a true crime story that you would see plastered on every single true crime channel on YouTube. This story has all the makings and all the mystery of a story or a true crime story or a case that you would usually see all over every mainstream news outlet. However, I feel like this story is not getting the publicity that it needs. And considering the fact that this case technically happened in a different country, even though it happened with U.S. citizens, this happened in Mexico. So I don't want this case to be swept under the rug. So I would like all of you all to share this video. Whenever you see a story or someone talking about this case, share it, even if it's not my video, because we need to get this story out there. Because Mexican authorities, for some odd reason, they don't believe that foul play was involved. And for the life of me, I don't understand why. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that this is a popular, vacation destination. And maybe they don't want the blemish of a murder happening in their hotel or in their villas or whatever on their record. They don't want people seeing that. That's bad publicity. So I'm thinking maybe that's one of the reasons why they are trying not to rule this a homicide. But I mean, looking at the death certificate, looking at what I know about the case, Shanquella's body was found on the floor of her living room at the villa that she was renting out with 7 friends. Now, I'm not sure about the sleeping situation or the living arrangement. I don't know if it's 7 people all in one little hut. I don't know if they have different little rooms or whatever. I'm not sure about all of that yet. I will look into that, and we will eventually get to the bottom of that if someone hasn't already. I'm sure other people have been already hopping on this case. So I don't know the living situation. What I do know is that it wasn't alcohol poisoning like her friend said, that she was on the living room floor with a broken neck, a cracked spine, and marks on her face. So any investigator would look at that. Any investigator in their right mind would look at that, and they would automatically assume homicide. They should automatically assume foul play. This is in the living room. Now, let's say they found Shanquella outside, and there was a balcony overhead. Maybe they could assume that she fell and snapped her neck and spine. But in a living room, you don't just randomly or even accidentally break your neck, your spine, get a bump on your head, and bust your lip in your living room unless someone did it to you. So the fact that they're saying there's no evidence of foul play, that makes no sense to me, because when you found a battered, bruised, and broken woman laying on a living room floor, that should indicate to you that there was some foul play, because she did not do this to herself. And if I'm not mistaken, there's nowhere where she could have fallen from a height that would have caused these wounds or these injuries. So right there, off the bat, it's obvious. Let me not say too much, but in my opinion, it's obvious that something was done to this woman. So the fact that they said there's no evidence of foul play, or they don't think foul play is involved, that is BS, period. Now back to the friends. Now there were rumors going on that maybe there was a fight between the friends. Maybe someone jumped Shanquella. There were just rumors going on. And then I believe it was yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below, a video surfaced. And I'm not going to play the video here because, for one, YouTube does not like it when you show videos of people fighting. And it damn sure is not going to let me show video of a naked woman. But in this video, Shanquella is naked. I mean, not even a pair of socks on, butt naked. And it appears that one of her friends that she came on this vacation with starts brutally attacking her, while some of her other friends that she went on this vacation with recorded. And I'm not sure if this attack or this fight, if that's what you want to call it, I don't want to call it a fight, because calling it a fight would make people think that Shanquella was fighting back or defending herself. And in this video, you can look it up on Twitter, it's on YouTube, it's everywhere. In this video, Shanquella is not the aggressor. She is not even defending herself. I don't know, maybe she's intoxicated, maybe she's half asleep and just woke up. All I know is that she is clearly butt naked, and she is getting attacked by someone who I guess she thought was her friend while on vacation in Cabo. And I don't understand. I mean, we don't get any context from this video, so I don't know why this attack took place. And it doesn't matter what the context is, because there's no excuse for what I saw in that video. And to think you're out with your friends vacationing, this should be a time where you're relaxing. Y'all should be sipping pina coladas on the beach, but instead, you're brutally attacking your friend in her bedroom while she's butt naked. Now, I don't know if this attack that happened on camera, I don't know if this is what caused Shanquella to pass away. I don't know if she sustained injuries during this attack that ultimately led to her death, or maybe she was attacked again later on, off camera. I don't know. And I am dying to know why this happened and why her other friends sat around and recorded it. Shanquella, you ain't gonna do nothing? You ain't gonna fight back, Shanquella? Just recording her getting slung around while she is butt naked, getting hit in the head, the face. I saw her get kicked right in the back of the neck. I saw her back get slammed against a wooden bed frame. So I'm not sure if these injuries came from this attack, or if something else happened after this. But it's on video right there in Mexico, right there in Cabo. And you have to understand, I'm sorry if this information wasn't put out there for you all, but she wasn't even in Cabo for a full 24 hours. So when this happened, this had to have happened shortly before her death. And from what the death certificate and from what the autopsy showed, I believe that she sustained the injuries and died roughly maybe 15 minutes later, after her spine or her neck and stuff was broken. So I would believe that possibly we're watching what happened to Shanquella. Now, I can confirm that the person in the video attacking her is her friend, or I guess what she thought was her friend. I believe her name is Dejanay Jackson, and they were supposedly friends for 5 years. for 5 years. Yet she left Shanquella behind and hightailed it back home while Shanquella's dead body was left in Mexico. And we now have a video of her attacking Shanquella in Mexico in their little villa that they were all staying in. So I think at this point, it's undeniable what happened to Shanquella. Maybe this video isn't the thing that ultimately led to Shanquella passing away. Maybe she was attacked even further or attacked in a separate situation after this. I'm not sure. But we now know she was attacked. She was beaten by someone who she believed was her own friend. And now these friends have returned back to America. Shanquella's death has not been ruled a homicide, and her family is still trying to get answers. Meanwhile, her friends are still running with this narrative of alcohol poisoning, even though we now know for a fact that was not the case. So the situation is disturbing to me because you should be able to trust your friends. Going on a vacation with your friends to Cabo, that should be a memory that you remember forever. But instead, we have one young woman that looked to me like had a bright future ahead of her who no longer has a future ahead of her because she went on vacation with what I would call a bunch of fake friends. And I don't want to get into a rant in this video, but I can't help but talk about how careful people need to be at choosing their friends. I see people out here all the time that will just party and hang out with just anybody. And I always wonder, how can you be that person? That outgoing person that just accepts anyone in your life? You see them at the bar, they're here with this group of friends one time, then they're with this group of friends. They're just partying, hanging out with anybody. I could never be that person. I always try to keep my circle small. And I don't like dealing with too many people. And I don't trust too many people. And in this day and age, that's the safest way to be. Back in the day, maybe you could be a little more open-minded. Maybe you could be a little more open-hearted and allow more people into your life. But in this day and age, it's like your own loved ones and your own friends are the main ones you have to worry about. Often you have people who you think are in your corner who are really there just hating on you. And I wonder if some of these friends hated on Shanquella because maybe she was making moves in her life that they weren't. And I'm telling you all right now, if I could give you all any advice, be careful who you surround yourself with. And I've talked about it before on this channel. I no longer hesitate to cut people out of my life. When your true colors show, I don't give a second and third chance anymore. You have to understand that we only have one life to live. You can't be giving just anyone second and third chances because those may be the last chances you gave out before something happens to you, like what happened to Shanquella. When I look into these true crime cases, more often than not, it's not a stranger responsible for someone's death. It's a family member or a friend. So I'm saying keep your circle small. Definitely do not travel out of the country with just any friend or acquaintance. It better be someone who you really know and love and who really has your back. Because traveling out of country, there's always this level of uncertainty. And you need someone there that's going to be there for you. You don't need someone there that's going to attack you. And then other people who are going to record you getting attacked and beaten to death in Mexico. So just be extremely careful with who you surround yourself with. Because a lot of people don't care about you. And what I have done, I cut everyone out of my life that doesn't value their own life as much as I value my own life. So when you surround yourself with reckless people, people who don't care about their future, people who don't necessarily value their life the way they should, if they don't value their life, if they don't value their freedom, if they don't value their future, they're damn sure not going to value yours. So separate yourself. Do not hesitate to cut ties. It may be, the difference between life and death, literally. Do not hesitate to cut ties with people. Period. But I can go on all day about that, but I think this just goes to show that there are a lot of fake friends out there, and we need to be careful about who we surround ourselves with. And hopefully someone watching this video takes that advice and they don't end up like Shanquella here. And in no way, shape, or form am I blaming Shanquella with surrounding herself with the wrong people. I'm just saying you just got to be extremely careful. And Shanquella, going to Cabo, Mexico with these 7 friends, she should have been comfortable. Think about it. You got 7 friends with you. You should not only be comfortable, you should feel safe because you're surrounded by 7 other individuals that should have your best interest in mind. But unfortunately, they did not. Now, I'm going to continue looking into this story. There's a lot more to unpack here. Trust me, this is just like the introduction video to this case. I will continue looking into this case. If there are any big updates, we will cover them. But for now, I want to hear your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.